What are your thoughts on Sha'Carri Richardson's statement that she made to the media, saying that the media has been disrespecting the athletes, filming her without their permission, and trying to just make a buck
She
off
said
of?
filming without the permission.
I don't know. Maybe she didn't say that word, but like just filming without, like, not. She's saying like we don't know what they're going through, win or lose, and you just film us and without before you even ask us a question, you know, and said we were disrespecting the athletes.
The athletes as a whole. Yeah.
Yeah, she said athletes. Stop disrespecting the
So the
athletes.
way people may not know this, but the way the media is set up at most track meets is the media area is directly adjacent to the track, and athletes come directly off the track into the media area.
And they're required. They have to walk. That's
Walk. That's how they get back to where
their
their
gear and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, sometimes people take a lot longer out there, right? They collect themselves. But if you've seen any track meet, sometimes they like really usher them off the track, and then the next person says, "Go this way, go this way, go this way." When people win and make teams and stuff, it takes longer because they do the victory lap, they do the on camera interview and things like that. But oftentimes, you're getting them right after. I think that's the ideal way to interview an athlete after a sporting event? No, but in all the time that we've been doing this, that's the one way that they've presented it to us, right? And that's the only availability that is there. So, if people want to change that, so that way there's more of a time to collect their thoughts, like I would be all for that. Other thing I should mention though is, this meet and pretty much like every other meet I've covered in the past, about 90%, 95% of the athletes are willing to talk. They want to talk. They want to share their stories, even if things didn't go well.
Yeah, Paul Chalimo just didn't make the team, got 11th, and he was like, they have a 3-minute interview talking about his season.
And if you don't, that's fine. Just say, hey, I don't want to talk right now, and then totally understood. Like I've always said, there's so many athletes and so many stories. If someone doesn't want to share their story or share their experience, that's perfectly within their right. I know some people are saying like they should be required to talk and they should be fine. I mean, no, if you need to go that far, if they don't want to talk, then that's fine. But the media that comes there is there to ask questions. It's there to figure out the story. I also will say, like, in general, track media, from what I've observed, is usually a lot more deferential than other media that I've seen in other sports, US especially. Like when I was at the World Championships in 2019, there were some outlets from overseas where it was a lot more aggressive in terms of what they were asking and how they were asking it. So yeah, I think most, I mean, I don't want to speak for all the athletes, but all I can say is most athletes, when you ask them, hey, do you have a comment or do you want to talk, they say yes. But if people want to change the process, that's fine. But for us in the media, this is the opportunity that this is the availability we have with the athletes, and it's a professional sport. And you talk about visibility and stuff. That's one of the main ways to get it. So that's just kind of my perspective on the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, she was given an opportunity to talk. She chose not to talk 3 times in a row. Then at the very end, she changed her mind, made a statement saying we're disrespecting the athletes. Kindly disagree with that sentiment, but everyone's allowed to have an opinion. And hey, that was the whole point. You got to say what you want to say, unedited, and people get to hear it. And
yeah,
the world can react however they want, and that's it.
So. Yeah, I mean, what's the alternative? Just like nobody speaks at all after races, or is there there's gonna be a press conference at the end?
The alternative, I mean, I think a lot of people want is I only want to be interviewed on my good moments and not my bad moments.
Yeah,
I think that's what they want. I don't think,
which is a human reaction.
It's a human, you just lose the Super Bowl. The coach doesn't want to do a press conference after losing the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
because that's like the worst time, like being told all the times they screwed up the play calls. Like you don't want to do that interview.
Yeah,
but after you win a Super Bowl, you want to talk to everyone and give them all your time. And I get that's human. You don't it's not fun to answer questions after a loss, And the thing is, there are certain athletes who lose who don't have to answer questions. And the reason why is because no one is like expecting them to win.
Yeah, and the interest level is inside.
The interest level. When you are a favorite, when you are the star of a meet, people want to hear from you when you're dominating, and people want to hear from you when you get upset. Yeah, and that's sports. It's called sports.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I just think there seems to be a disconnect too. Just this is a larger conversation. We don't need to go into it, but just between like how people define media now versus how they define media 10, 15, 20 years ago. And I think that has a big role in responses like that to what's going on. But yeah, again, I can only speak from my like experience. I mean, yours is probably pretty similar. Sure, there's some people who don't want to talk, but if you just assume nobody wants to talk, which I've made this mistake too. Oh man, this person doesn't want to talk because they had a bad race, and then they do want to talk, and then they're happy that their story was shared out there.
Yeah,
like
happy. Gabby Thomas.
Yeah,
she was one of the favorites. She's just won an Olympic medal, and now she didn't make any team. You know, that's a bad day for her, but she's talking.
Yeah. So I just think, again, I don't blame anybody who doesn't want to talk. If you don't want to talk, that's totally within your right. That's between you and like your sponsors and all the people who pay you or manage your career. But
does the media have the right to announce that they don't want to talk?
Does the media have the right to announce they don't want to talk? What do you mean? Oh, just say this person didn't talk?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's been going on for a while. I remember back in 2012, there was people who didn't want to talk, and people would say, yeah, they're not talking. I just, to my point earlier, I'm just saying, if you assume nobody ever wants to talk, then you're, number one, stories are not going to get told in the sport. Number two, and also you're kind of taking some agency away from those athletes who do want to share their stories, right? It's like, I'm just going to assume that this person has nothing to say because they're upset. I mean, the most memorable interviews, I feel like, especially from Olympic trials and USAs, end up being the one, on the razor's edge, the people who just get in or the people who just miss it. And I think those interviews, if athletes are trying to get more fans and more interest, like, people become fans because they see athletes sometimes in their vulnerable moments, and they're like, man, like that was incredible. Like, you went through this, because then they're bought in, right? Then they are really invested in the athlete's success of, okay, man, we saw them in this moment. Now we're seeing them later on, and they're thriving. But you can't like tell that story without trying to talk. And
I will say this: Sha'Carri didn't want to talk to us at all throughout the entire meet.
Not just us, the whole media.
And the whole media.
It wasn't about us.
Yeah, it was about the whole media. It's not going to change my opinion of her. I still think she's one of the best runners in the world, and I still will pick her to make teams in future years, if not win races. So,
yeah.
And I think she's going to run fast this summer. I think she's probably going to go out there, run a 10.8 or 10.7 at one of the Diamond Leagues, and get people talking.